Hello everybody, today I want to talk to you about how to optimize your products using product analytics. There are going to be different reasons why companies want to track the usage of products and understand better the behavior of the users, how they are engaging with the products, how they are using them. But usually these are going to boil down to three main reasons. One of them is going to be product optimization. The other one is going to be related to sales processes or sales opportunities. And finally, the last one that I see that is going to be a common topic is understanding business performance. And when I'm talking about product analytics, different people are going to refer to them in different ways, like tracking usage, tracking data itself, insights, telemetry. These terms are going to be used to understand how people are engaging with your product and how you are capturing that data, processing and understanding or getting patterns out of the usage of the product that those users are having. But of course, understanding better the analytics, the usage of your products is going to help you make those famous data-driven decisions and actually be able to prioritize better because you will understand better what is the behavior of your users. And I'm not going to keep this to the end. Data or understanding the analytics of your product doesn't take away from talking with your customers directly. They have to basically strengthen each other or validate each other. What you hear from the users to what you see them doing in the product and vice versa. Why do I see something in the product? I might not know why. I can talk with the users to give me an explanation on why. These two sources of information are both key, both very important, and something that you had to learn to balance both of them. But now let's dive into what are the core reasons for product analytics. The first one that I talked about was product optimization. So here you want to do different things. You, first of all, as a person that is in product, who probably is listening to this video in product development, you want to improve the experience of your users. You want to make sure that they have a good experience and that you can continuously get better features, get better experience in the product. You understanding how your users are interacting with your product or how they are not interacting with certain parts of your product is going to help you prioritize, is going to help you take decisions and go into different directions with your product that are going to give a better experience for your users. The second one is that it's going to help you validate new features. When you do new development or new products, not just features, you have to validate if this feature actually answers the needs or the problems of the customers. Does it really solve it? And does it solve in a way that makes sense for them? Whenever you do a feature, of course, you probably are going to talk with customers early on. You might even share mockups, you might share prototypes, but you are usually going to do this with a handful of customers. You might even do A/B testing. When you are doing A/B testing, you are talking about product analytics. You are talking about analyzing the behavior and the adoption of that feature, understanding how they're using it. And this way you will understand better if this feature really is solving the problem that those customers have. And when I talk about feature, you can change it by your product in most of the cases. Another part of product optimization is that it's going to help you to do prioritization of features and even potentially sunsetting products, making the decision or a feature if you need to sunset them. Understanding the usage, understanding the engagement of the users with those features is going to help you make much more informed decisions. For example, if I'm using or I'm a PM for Notion, which I'm not, I could look into the integrations that we have with other products like Jira, for example, or like, whatever it is that Notion is integrating with, and understand that if I get many demands towards my integration of Jira, is my integration of Jira very popular? Is it something that is very used by many people? Should I prioritize it or should I prioritize another one? Or if there is nobody using it or very few people use it, should I consider sunsetting? Should I consider closing it down and not having it anymore? This is one of the reasons why product analytics is going to help you with product optimization. The other big aspect of analytics is to do sales optimization. Why is this important, or how does this relate to sales? Well, you probably are tracking the number of users that you have. You're probably know that they create accounts, that they activate a product. You know if they have a subscription, if they are renewing, or if they have different models. Maybe you're selling to a company, and instead of selling individual subscriptions with, like a name subscription, you are selling more like seats, and the company buys 10 seats, let's say. And you can understand then in a company if those seats are being used or not. You don't care about whom, but if you see that a company has all the seats full and they have them full most of the time, you probably know or can guess that that company is about their max capacity. And potentially you can have the possibility of upselling them or selling them more seats. If on the other hand, they are not using most of those seats, that people or that company might be about to churn, meaning that they might stop the subscription with you because they don't need you. When I talk about subscription, it can be licenses, it can be perpetual licenses, even it doesn't matter. You understand better in which situation that company is, and if you had to contact them, you have prepare yourself better to understand what kind of conversation you might be having with them. Another big reason why it's important for sales is that you probably have some kind of a trial or evaluation of your product. Many companies, many products, like think Netflix has a 14-day trial period. I don't know what is the trial period nowadays for Netflix, so don't quote me in that one. But let's say that they have 14 days, which is a very typical trial period. Or you have some kind of evaluation process for your product. Basically, you want that people can try it, see if they can get value, or if this is valuable for them. And if they like it, they can continue with the subscription. Being able to understand how people are behaving during that trial or evaluation period is going to help you a lot when it comes to helping them to get to the value. Time to value, that's one of the very important metrics that you have here. Being able to understand if I had to change the journey, if I had to help them in the journey of finding that value, if many people open the trial but then they stop using it, or if they are using it every day. That's going to help you a lot when it comes to making decisions, potentially even when you are even trying to sell them the product for them to subscribe, to purchase a license, whatnot. Doesn't matter so much if you have product-led sales or if you have sales teams actually calling the person that is doing the trial and trying to convince them to purchase the product. And then finally, in the sales, there are going to be customer value metrics. Think of things like ROI, return on investment, especially if you are in B2B products. This is a metric that is very important for you to be able to understand how much the investment of the company, of your customer, investing in purchasing your product is going to return to them. So think about, for example, nowadays AI. And if you have something, if you're using some IDE, so some development environment that you are using to do your coding, and they add a new AI capability to help you do some parts of your code. This is something that you could measure or try to measure in the way that how much is this improving the efficiency of those teams that really have to produce the code? Is this helping them produce better code? Is this helping them produce code faster? What kind of metric can you calculate out of that feature or your product to understand what is the return on the investment? There are going to be different ones, and of course depends on the company, depends on the product. The ROI metrics are going to be quite different. So now let's go into the business performance. Probably one of the first ones that you're going to get into any business performance report are going to be things like retention, churn, and acquisition metrics. So understanding what or how many of your customers are staying happy, keeping loyal to you. This is a very important thing for a company. And this is one of the key aspects of a customer journey, where you have your loyalty, people that are staying with you and actually become your promoters as well. You also have churn, people that have dropped, that used to be customers, and after using your product for a while, they are not your customer anymore. This happens very often in B2C products. Probably is much higher when you think about, for example, these entertainment services. People drop and come back relatively often. When you think about B2B products, companies tend to stay for a longer period. And usually when they move to another product, which means that they're not going to come back to you probably anytime soon. And then especially when you think about B2C, you have other metrics that are very important and that you probably are going to track, like customer acquisition cost and so on. And although these are maybe not exactly business performance, product performance, analytics are very key and very important because they also foment or promote loyalty and retention of the products. You want to make sure that the performance of the product is always good, at least good, if not great, if not the best out there. It depends a lot on which industry you are, and it depends a lot on what part of the performance of a product you're talking about is going to be more important or not. Think about a car. Some people are going to appreciate a lot that you have a higher acceleration, but there's going to be also a limit to how much acceleration you can put into a car and when it makes sense or not, trying to just shave another millisecond or not. The same goes for loading times of projects. The same goes for saving projects. When you think about many products, this is not a metric that makes much sense or that is very useful because usually there's not a ton of data. But when you think about big projects, so imagine I'm using Premiere Pro to edit this video. If it takes me forever to load the project, if it takes me forever to edit the project, then the experience is going to be horrible and not something that I want to do. But if the performance is great and when I upload a video, I can pretty much instantly start working with it, then of course that's something that I'm going to pay attention, or at least the very minimum is going to be something that for me it's met. It has the performance that it has, is good. I don't care anymore. So it's not something that maybe necessarily goes up with better performance. It depends a lot on the feature. It depends a lot on the aspect of performance, but something that you had to pay attention to and that you had to understand what is the performance in the different features and in the different aspects of your product that are acceptable. What are the ones that you had to go ahead and you had to be better? And which ones are the ones that you really don't want to go below? So understanding this is going to help you create and define and optimize and also prioritize improvements for your product. Another important aspect of business performance is the time to value. How long does it typically take for a customer or a potential user, prospect, to actually find the value of your product, whether they have purchased or not? You don't want that to be a very big gap. It depends a lot on the product. It's going to be relatively small or it's going to be relatively big. Some products, because of the complexity, it might take a long time because of setting it up to actually get to that value. In some other products, especially with apps in your phone, you might get to value in a matter of seconds. So it depends a lot on the type of product, but this is a very important metric because getting to that aha moment is what it actually can turn a person into a loyal customer or actually go and try another app or another product. So now let's go into some of the data privacy and ethics part of the of data analytics and so on. One of the first ones is that there are regulations out there like GDPR in Europe and others that actually look into the data privacy, and you have to respect those ones because those are regulations that you have to enforce or that countries or different areas are going to enforce. Also, you have to have ethical considerations on how you're using the data and what purposes are you using the data for. That's why some companies actually have dedicated websites a page within their website where they explain how they're tracking you and why they're tracking you and how they're using that information. I think that this is very important because then you are clear about what I'm doing with the data. Then the person has a much easier way to understand that, well, should I accept or not that they are tracking me? And if you have been in a company that is using analytics quite heavily, you probably have bumped into this at some point or another. Data quality and reliability is something that you had to pay attention to. You had to make sure that the data that you have is accurate. And this doesn't mean that it's your responsibility, but you had to make sure that the pipelines that you have, the preparation, the data cleaning, all that is happening, and that you don't get duplicates. For example, you don't have wrong counts, that the data is in a way mapped that it's understandable, and that you don't get weird options that it makes it difficult to understand the data, and that you get accurate data. So in general, just making sure that the data that you're getting is good and that is something that you can rely and work with. Another very important part of data analytics or product analytics is predictive analytics. And this is very important because it's going to help you do things like forecasting. This is very important, for example, for the business operations side, where you can actually look into what kind of data do you have, or how the business has been performing over time. How many sales have I gotten? How many customers have been churning? How many customers stay with us? You can make projections on how this is going to behave in the future. Also, very important, segmentation, understanding your customers. Something that I've done in some previous companies. How can you divide your users into cohorts? And this is not just to try to make an artificial separation or segment of your customers. It's just to understand that you are going to have different type of customers. If I go back to the example of Premiere Pro, I'm a very basic user of Premiere Pro. I can do certain things, but I'm really bad at others. I'm really bad with color grading. I'm very bad with sound editing and all these things. But I can just do a very basic edit of the video and add a couple of captions here and there, and that's it. So I would fall in that cohort. Then there's going to be more advanced users, and some of them, they are going to fall more probably into the how they are changing all the white balance and how the image looks like. Some others are going to be working much more on the sound design, and some others are going to be working more with things like After Effects to add, different moving objects and stuff like that, in animations into the video to make it more entertaining. Something that, if you have been following this channel, I do very little of. Being able to analyze these segments and create these cohorts of users, if you want to call them, is going to help you understand, when you're building a feature, who is this going to be for? How many of the people that are my users I'm targeting, and how I'm actually even going to promote this feature, because I know that this is target for certain audience, because I know that they're using this. I know that I only have to talk with that audience, because the rest are not going to care, because it's out of their comfort zone or not something that they're interested in trying. This also can change the product decisions that you're making, how you are going to create that experience for the users. Is your product customized to the different type of user? A basic user probably doesn't need to see everything. Some advanced user probably wants to see everything. So how you are planning that, so you don't get people that don't need all the information confused by just bombarding them with a ton of information. And what are the trends that are coming for analytics? I think that one of the things that probably is going to come forward is that you are going to be able to make more real-time decision making. Potentially some of these things are going to be powered by AI. And I'm not saying that these are really here, but the case that you have real-time analytics, I think that this is going to become more and more important for products and businesses. I see it often where many of the metrics that you get are collected on the last week, but they are not live metrics. And not all the data has to always be live, and you cannot be all the time making decisions on the latest data, because that also might shift your focus a lot. So, but being able to have more live data probably is going to help you make better decisions, have more reliable understanding of where is the current situation of the business. And as you can imagine, there's going to be something related to AI, where potentially AI can help you to understand better the insights from your analytics. There's many things with analytics, but one of the key parts of analytics is to understand the unknown unknowns. And you sometimes don't know that you have some. You sometimes know that you have some unknowns, but you know that that gap exists. But sometimes there's data and correlation that it's there that you had no clue that is even there. Something like AI powered studies or research could help you try to understand this. You could argue that there are companies that are doing this already. So companies like, for example, Palantir is probably going into this direction. And probably something that is getting more and more important is more like the democratization of analytics. Right now, you need people that are very specific, or data analysts, data scientists, different type of analysts that are actually controlling what kind of dashboards you are creating, what kind of charts you need to have there. But being able to, for somebody that is more of a newbie, to be able to do that themselves, and that integrating all the data is not so complex, that's probably a direction that we are going to go. How far is that? I don't know. Maybe that's a bit further than it sounds like. And I think that there's going to be steps moving forward. It can be AI, it can be just certain features and changes in existing products that are going to help me to define what are the different dashboards, what are the different data points that I want to track, create KPIs, create targets, create forecasts of how the business is going, or where how I think I should be prioritizing, for example, the integrations that my product has with a whole ecosystem of other products. Which ones are the most important, which ones are not so important. Being able to get analytics to that point where somebody that is not so expert can do it on their own, that I think is going to be a great advance for the realm of analytics. I understand that, of course, for people that are working in analytics or analysts is a concern, because that would mean that some of those people could be out of work. But I think that that's something, or a trend, where we are going to be moving forward. And I don't think that that's going to happen overnight. Probably that's going to be a trend that over years it will get better, it will get more user-friendly. So now, trying to wrap a little bit the things that I've been talking about, I think that pro analytics is great when you want to optimize your product, when you want to take your product and help it grow, scaling it up. It's going to be very important for you for the purposes of pro optimization. It's also going to help you with sales optimization by being able to understand when you can upsell, when you can actually try to retain customers that potentially are at risk of churning, and also understand better what is the business performance that you are having. Is your business going in the right direction, or is it downtrending, or what can you do in order to make it better? If you're interested, I put together a giveaway on how to develop your software products. You can find it in the description down below. Go check it out, it's free. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel. I will see you in the next one, and remember, stay safe.